two people, same neighborhood, same school, same starting point. One of them built something from nothing, the other didn't. And if you ask most people why, they will give you the same answers. The successful one worked harder, got lucky, had better timing, found the right opportunity, was just wired for it somehow. That last one is closer to the truth than people realize, but not in the way they mean. Because the psychology of people who build wealth from zero is not what motivates them on the outside. It is how their minds are structured on the inside. And that structure was in place before they made a single dollar, before they took a single risk, before anyone around them had any reason to believe they would amount to anything different from where they started. The psychology came first. The wealth came second. Here is what that psychology actually looks like. The first thing, and this is the one that most people get completely backwards, is how they relate to risk. The common assumption is that people who build from zero are risk takers, bold, unafraid, comfortable with danger in a way that most people are not. And there is a version of that which is true, but it is not the full picture. What psychology research consistently finds is that people who build from zero do not perceive risk the way everyone else does. They are not fearless. They are specifically afraid of a different thing. While most people fear the downside of action, what happens if I try and fail? People who build from zero are more afraid of the downside of inaction. What happens if I never try at all? What does my life look like in 10 years if I stay exactly here? The risk calculation is inverted. Staying still feels more dangerous to them than moving. And that single perceptual difference, not courage, not fearlessness, just a different calculation of where the real danger sits, drives almost everything else. The second thing is identity before evidence. Most people wait for proof before they decide who they are. They want to see results before they commit to the identity. Show me the success and I will believe I am someone who succeeds. People who build from zero do this in reverse. They decide who they are first. The identity comes before the evidence, before the money, before the results, before anyone around them has any reason to agree. They have already internally committed to a version of themselves that does not yet exist in the world. This is not delusion. It is a specific psychological move that researchers call identity-based motivation. The behavior follows the identity. If you see yourself as someone who builds things, you make the 1,000 small decisions that builders make. Not because of discipline, not because of a morning routine, but because those decisions are consistent with who you already believe yourself to be. The third thing is time horizon. People who build from zero think in longer time frames than the people around them, not as a skill they practiced, not as a habit they developed, but as a natural default setting. While the people around them are calculating this week and this month, they are calculating this decade. They are not more patient. They simply experience time differently when it comes to building. The long game does not feel like sacrifice to them. It feels like the only game that makes sense. Tolerance for uncertainty. Most people need to know something will work before they fully commit to it. They want proof of concept, guaranteed outcomes, a clear line between effort and result. People who build from zero can operate in the absence of that. They can work for months or years towards something with no confirmation that it is working. Not because they are blindly optimistic, because they have a higher threshold for uncertainty than most. They can hold an unresolved situation in their mind without it becoming unbearable, without it forcing them to abandon the plan just to relieve the discomfort of not knowing. That tolerance is rarer than any skill, and it is almost impossible to develop from a book. This fifth thing is the one nobody wants to talk about. Almost universally, across cultures, across industries, across every study that has looked at people who built significant wealth from nothing, there is something to prove. Not always to other people, sometimes just to themselves. A voice that says you came from nothing, that you were told you wouldn't amount to anything, that the circumstances said no, and a response to that voice that does not accept the verdict. The chip on the shoulder, the quiet fire that does not go out. Researchers call this a compensatory drive, and it is one of the most powerful motivational forces in human psychology. It is not comfortable. It is not healthy in every expression, but it is extraordinarily effective at sustaining effort over time, at pushing through the moments when the rational calculation says stop, at continuing when nothing external is telling you to. The circumstances that most people would call disadvantages, the difficult start, the lack of resources, the people who doubted, the years when nothing worked, these are frequently the exact conditions that produce the psychological architecture described above. The asymmetric risk perception, the identity before evidence, the long time horizon, the tolerance for uncertainty, the chip. None of these traits come from comfort. They come from having to figure things out without a safety net, from learning that inaction has consequences, from building an identity before the world confirmed it, from waiting longer than anyone else thought was reasonable, from carrying something that never quite let you rest. The two people at the beginning of this video started in the same place, but one of them was being built by their circumstances without knowing it. The psychology was already forming, long before the money, long before anyone was watching, long before they knew themselves what they were capable of.